What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Heavy Water 77. I am one half of the show, Jerry, and this is my other co-host, Joseph. How you doing, brother?
Doing great. Doing a little fun little mini-sode here. We got a
Yeah.
different kind of a topic we didn't expect to talk about on the show, but we're gonna talk about it here for a few minutes.
Sure. And first of all, before we go any further, I just want to thank everybody who for liking, subscribing, checking out our videos, leaving comments. Well, some of you anyway. Um, but no, we thank you all for any kind of criticism is good. We try taking it in stride. So we appreciate all of you. And as you mentioned, we're doing something different tonight. We're doing something I just found out when Joe brought it to my attention a couple weeks ago, actually. It's what is it, Joe? Why don't you talk about it?
So apparently, backstory on this: after Edge of the Century came out, Styx regrouped, and mainly Dennis and Glenn started writing some new songs. And Dennis, Glenn, and JY got together to record some demos at Dennis's house. And the demos were eventually shelved. They were never released. Some of the songs ended up on some other projects. One was from a Dennis album that we already covered. Some of them ended up on some Glenn solo albums. Um, but a lot of the songs had never been released. And eventually, it became this kind of legend amongst the Styx fan community about these. They called it the Son of Edge demos. And so there was a lot of talk over the years about them to the point where a couple of years ago, there was a Styx fan forum that Glenn Burtnick even stopped into. And some of the people asked him about these demos, and he actually did a kind of a track by track talking about the different demos that they had done in this particular track listing, the order that we're going to be talking about here. Um, and he talked about each one, kind of where it came from, who wrote it, where it ended up, if it ended up on a different album. And so he gives a little bit of an overview. But there were still a couple of the songs that had never been released until a couple months ago. Someone that must have had one of the original CD copies that they burned when they made these demos leaked the entire thing to YouTube, and it blew up in the Styx fan community. It did get pulled down pretty quickly, but some people were able to grab it before they did and release it a couple of other places, which is how we managed to get a hold of it for
Not us.
this
No, we don't.
show.
We don't
No,
have it. We don't own none of it. We don't. I don't know
no,
what you're talking about.
definitely not.
I'm just making up my reviews. I've never heard these
Yeah,
songs
we
before.
definitely have never heard these. Definitely unofficial tracks, but to the point where even Dennis made a post about it on online talking about it, how it was um that it was never intended to be called Son of Edge, is what the fans called it. But he talked about how he was glad that someone released it, just so people could hear some of the songs,
All right.
even though he always wanted to release it, but he never knew what the kind of copyright status of any of it was. So that's why it had never come out. It was They were unsure of who owned any of this material, so that's why it never came out. But he's glad that people were finally getting to hear it, even if it was just for just a short time. So that
Because A
is
and M
a little bit
dumped
of
A and M.
background.
Yeah, A&M dumped them after Edge of the Century, if I remember
Yes,
right. So
yes.
kind of interesting. Who did own these demos or whatever?
Well,
Interesting.
if I had to imagine, these were probably demos that they were maybe shopping around to some different labels to
Hmm.
kind of get the possibility of a follow up. And of course, it wouldn't materialize, and A&M would eventually pick them back up with the Greatest Hits album. A couple years later, they redid
Yeah.
Lady, and then what they went with CMC was what the live album was on. Brave New World, all that stuff ended
Yeah.
up on CMC. So I have to imagine that these demos were being the reason that someone probably had it, that the how it got leaked. Apparently, from what Glenn said, they only ever made like 10 CD copies of this thing.
Wow.
And so they probably gave it to different A&R guys at some different
Yeah.
labels, and it probably fell through the hands and somebody got a hold of it and put it up on YouTube.
Right.
But that is what I'd have to imagine it was mainly for, just to kind of shop around some ideas. Because I mean, some of these sound like fully finished songs. Some of them you could definitely tell are a little bit more in the demo stage. Some of them do sound more like fully finished songs. So I'm definitely interested to talk about this because it's a little different than what we normally talk about, because it's not really an album. It's just some songs that really probably weren't put together in any
Right.
specific order, were never finished. I mean, aside from some guitar, JY is really not on this. It's Dennis and Glenn. The Panazos have nothing to do with it, from what I
Right.
understand. Um, it's really just it's Dennis and Glenn and JY with a little bit of input on it. Not no songwriting input
Yeah,
whatsoever.
definitely if you hear him
But
on some of the vocals, the chorus,
yeah.
the harmonies. But other than that, yeah, it's just Dennis and Glenn mostly. But all right, we're gonna briefly talk about some songs that are on here,
Mm-hmm.
and give us our opinion. Like I said, I'm gonna go in here, you know, trying to understand what this album was about. Like I said, these songs probably weren't completed. I'm not gonna bitch about the order of these songs because I'm sure this was not gonna be the track list order of the album because you start out with two ballads. That's kind of odd, but so I'm gonna go in there just in mind. This is a demo, so that's my thinking behind it. So with that being said, let's get to the first track. It takes love to make love.
So this is actually a track that would resurface a couple years later on Greatest Hits Volume 2. Um, they re-recorded, they cut Glenn's vocals out, they cut his parts out and had Tommy re-record over it, and they released it. It was just called "It Takes Love" on the Greatest Hits Volume 2 album that came out after the reunion tour and everything. Um, so here is you can hear the kind of embryonic version of it here with Glenn's playing and vocals on it. Uh, I think it's a decent pop tune. It's not awful. I think it's a decent little poppy tune. Nothing special, but you can kind of hear what they were trying to go for on it. Not bad for what it is. It's kind of a Dennis pop tune, and I've heard way worse Dennis pop tunes. So
Right.
I don't think it was too bad to of a song here. And of course, I mean, clearly they saw something in it. The fact that they came back to it to release it officially a couple of years later.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think this song is all right. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I would lead off with it, but like I said, it's not, probably not the official way this album would go. I really love the vocal harmonies on this one. Just a bunch of guys singing, hanging around the piano, snapping the fingers and singing. I dig that type of stuff. So yeah, I agree with you. This is a decent song. The next song, Nothing in Common.
Another Dennis Poppy tune. This one I'm not as huge on. This one it's much more kind of generic, and you can hear, like I said, I think this is they're just kind of shopping around some ideas here. This is not like things that would necessarily have made the final cut of an album. These are just, hey, these are what we're working on. Can we get a record label to bite on it? And I think they were just kind of throwing whatever they had out there. This is one that I'm just like, nah, it's not really anything special for me on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. I think Dennis always sounds great. I mean, whether
Yeah,
you like a ballad from him or not, his voice is always, and his piano playing is always, top notch in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I was waiting for that big chorus, and it came, and it just was so underwhelming for this
yeah,
song. Again, like I said, starting out with two ballads, maybe not the best way to start an album, but like we said a million times already, it's probably not the way um, the track order would have went. But as I said, I always compare ballads, Lady to First Time at the scale, and this is closer to First Time than it is Lady, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't care for it. Like I said, who knows what a completed version of this sounded like, any of these songs, basically. It might, could have changed it up with a full band effort. Who knows? But and let me get to the first Glenn Burtnick song on this, whatever you want to call it, Love on My Mind.
yeah. I think this is a decent adult contemporary-ish kind of tune. It's very of the time. It very much feels like a late '80s, early '90s adult contemporary song. Uh, and for that, it's not awful. I do like Glenn's voice on it. I think he sounds good. Playing's good. I mean, is it anything I'd rush out and buy? No. And is it? You can tell it's a demo. Yeah, you can tell that they were still
Yeah.
working on it. But for what it is, I think it's a decent tune. If this was on an album, I would say okay. I wouldn't skip that track.
Yeah, it's like, again, like you said, if this is the whole band effort behind it, who knows what it sounded, what it sound like. But gotta be honest, man, I was not crazy about this song. I do not like it. The pluses are, I think the really has a really cool bluesy, tune to it. Get that that standard 12 bar blues approach to it. And Glenn's voice, I think, sounds good, but yeah, it's a song. I don't know if I would like this even with a full band production. I don't know, but maybe I would. I don't know. But for now, it's not very good. Next song, Watching the World Go By.
This is by far the best thing on this, in my opinion. I think this is a beautiful acoustic ballad. This is one that I would actually go out of my way to listen to. I really, really dig this song. I think this would be a standout on an album from that time, in my opinion. You stick this on something like Edge of the Century, I think it would be one of the standout songs, and we both really enjoyed that album. So I really think that this fits Glenn well. I've really, we always talk about how much we want to hear acoustic guitar on this channel, and I think
Yeah,
this is a great example of it. I think this is easily the standout of this demo. And I wish that I'm glad I got to hear it, and I wish it would have gotten an official release.
yeah. I'm with you. I like this song. This probably is the best song on the album. The acoustic playing, I think, is amazing. I would love to see. This is one of those songs I would love to see what they could have done with the complete band. I don't know if it would have stayed this mellow. I don't know. Maybe it would have been more rockier. I don't know. But by itself, I think it stands well on its own. So maybe they wouldn't have changed much to it. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it is probably the best song on the album. I agree with you. And then we get to the next song, which is actually a Dennis solo song. Well, it became a Dennis solo song. Wait, the Boom Child, yeah, Boom Child came out
It
before
was
this. Never
already a
mind.
Dennis Solo
Yeah,
song.
yeah, excuse me. I got confused there, guys. I apologize. But Beneath the Moon, I'm just going to say before you talk about it, see our review of Boom Child. That's all I'm going to say. What do you got at? Same
Yeah,
thing?
that was where it was. Same as the Child track. I liked it then. I like it now.
Yeah,
So,
I did like the song. Yes.
yeah. I even checked. I listened to the version that I definitely don't have on my computer. That I definitely don't have on my
No,
computer of this,
I don't have this.
and
Yeah.
it is literally just the exact same as the Boom Child track. I listened
Yeah.
to the version on the Boom Child album. It's the same thing. So they didn't change anything. I just think they snuck it on the demo just as an extra track. I
Right.
don't know
Could be. Yeah.
why.
You need a
I'm not
certain amount of
exactly sure
tracks to
why,
shop it around. Yeah.
but
Um,
I, I liked it then. I like it now. I really enjoyed it as kind of a cool pop single. I think they shopped it as like a possible single because it was the single off Boom Child.
yeah.
So I feel like they shopped it around as that. And I liked it then. I like it now. Still a cool tune. I do dig it.
Maybe,
Probably my second
maybe,
favorite thing on the
yeah.
album.
Maybe throwing the name Sticks on it could have made it more than it was just a
Yeah.
Dennis solo song. Absolutely. All right. Moving on to the next song, which is All for Love. What do you got?
Oh boy. So according to Glenn's track by track that he did, this was an attempt to make a Styx sounding song. And woo boy, they failed on that one. Oh my, this is bad. I can hear them trying. You can definitely hear where they're trying, like, oh, this is this little element of Styx we're gonna throw in here. This little element, none of it goes together. All of it sounds awful. Even in demo form, it sounds like garbage. And it just does it sounds like they just threw some stuff together on a Casio keyboard and said, here, oh boy, one of the worst tracks on the album.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to talk about the positives of this song. I agree with you. I don't really like it very much. I mean, the guitar playing I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, I'm waiting for that big chorus to come along, and it does, and it just goes south in a hurry. Yeah, this was a hard listen for me. And vocally, I guess the vocals sound good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to reach for
I
some
didn't
good
even I
stuff to
didn't even
say
I didn't
about
even think
this
the vocals
song.
sounded that great on this one.
Okay, maybe I'm lying there. I don't know, but I'm just trying to find some good stuff about this song. But I hear you. I would rather hear the Brian Adams, Sting, and Rod Stewart All for Love than this one. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just my. Actually, I like that song, so I'm not gonna bitch about that song. But yeah, I agree with you. This song's not very good. Devil in Me is the next track.
Yep. So opposite of the last track, this Glenn said was something that was very unsticks, very very different. He said the two that he said that were like musical influence on the song, which is like really out there, was Prince and the Fine Young Cannibals.
Oh man.
And I hear it, but at the same time I don't. Um, as for what it is, I think it's actually kind of cool sounding a little bit. I would have loved to hear a finished version of this before I actually pass judgment on it. Because I can
Hmm.
hear some things that he's doing with it that I'm like, okay, I think that could work. but it still sounds so unfinished that I'm just like, I don't know if it would work or not. So it's like
Mhm.
in its raw form, it's like, I don't know about this, but I think it could have been something if he finished it. And I think he did on one of his albums. So I do want to look and see if I can find his finished version of it and see if it actually turned out decent or not. But I think this had potential. I don't know about the actual recording though.
Yeah. Yeah, it had this really cool heavy guitar. I'm thinking, what? This is a JY track, maybe? Maybe you see a JY track here. I was expecting this song to rock more, but it fell flat in my opinion. Not so killer filler, like we talked about. Maybe this song wasn't finished, and maybe we should look into this and see if there's any more versions of it. But the song as it is, no, yeah, it's a hard no for me. Um, so we go to the next song. Oh, Someday We'll Fly.
Generic Dennis ballad number 5. Um, Dennis sounds great on this track. I think this is really strong vocal performance from him. Not a great song though. It's just okay. Dennis, write a ballad quick. It's something he knows how to do. I mean, it's not like he's
It
gonna
is.
have to strain himself too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I just have one word for this song, and it's a Shirley Manson fronted band. If you know what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about. Garbage. I mean, I just don't like this song at all. It's terrible. Kill me on the chat room, everybody, or the chat, the comment section. Go ahead. I don't care. This song sucks. So we end this album. Don't give
this
up.
we end this long journey into hysteria with
Yeah. You know, it
uh
hasn't been terrible. It hasn't been
it
terrible
hasn't,
though.
no,
It
like I
really
was
hasn't.
expecting to hate
No.
it. I really was.
Yeah.
I haven't. Um, but yeah, don't give up on me. I think it's actually a decent Glenn power ballad. I think his voice fits this style very well. I think he can do rockers. He can do stuff like this as well. I mean, we see if he's going to be the Tommy of the band, Tommy can do rockers and he can do the ballads. And I think Glenn does a very good job of doing that as well. And I think as far as the ballads on this album aside, I really think that Glenn has the better of them. We said Watching the World Go By was probably the best track on the album, and I really dig this as well. This is another one that I would have loved to see a finished version if it would have held up to the promise that I can hear in this.
Yeah, pretty much what you said. I have. This is I really like the song. It's kind of got a little darker approach
Yeah.
musically to this one than the rest of the album does. Glenn's really, really got that emotional voice, which I dig. The chorus I think could have used a little tweaking here and there, but yeah, I mean, again, a finished project probably would have been a really good song. I'll take it, man. I think it's a great way to end this.
Mm-hmm.
But that is our review of a the Son of Edge. Even though we don't own any of these or have any of these songs, we just made these reviews up as we went. We really haven't heard any of these songs except for the Boom Child one. We heard that one, but other than that, yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's out there if you want to listen to it. I recommend if you're a Styx fan that you do because it's always fun to find these treasures with bands that you really like, and it was really cool discovering this. And thank you, Joe, for finding this. I don't know how you found it, but thank you. But
I saw some people talking about it, and I was just like, "Huh,
oh,
that would
okay,
be." We're about to talk about Edge of the
yeah,
Century. It would be kind of cool to talk
it's
about.
awesome. Anyway, y'all, thank you for liking, subscribing, and we got a lot of Styx stuff coming up. We're not done yet. We got branching out everywhere with these guys, and gonna have a lot of fun doing it. I hope you all do and do enjoy this. Excuse me, and we will see you next time as we do the second Damn Yankees album, I believe. Correct?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Don't tread. So, Joe, you take care, and you all have a great night.